Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So the question for today's video is, what are the most important messages for the viewers at the time they find this video? Most important messages for viewers at the time they find this video. Whether that's in 20 years, 5 months, 5 days of posting, it doesn't matter. Your divine light has guided you here to help you with various messages to help you in your current situation. Whenever that present situation is, it doesn't matter. These are timeless messages. So the two hexagrams that came through are number 62, preponderance of the small, and obstruction, number 39. So, preponderance of the small. On the top trigram, we have arousing thunder, and the bottom hexagram is keeping still, mountain. While in the hexagram preponderance of the great, number 28, the strong lines preponderate. Let's just address that word right now. Preponderate or preponderance means greater in number, quantity, or importance. Preponderance is in the majority. The greatest emphasis is laid upon this. It's the greatest amount, essentially. So, in that particular hexagram, number 28, which is the opposite of this, preponderance of the great, the strong lines preponderate, or are in the majority, and are within, enclosed between weak lines at the top and the bottom. The present hexagram, preponderance of the small, has weak lines that are dominant, though here again, they're on the outside, the strong lines being within. So if you look at the hexagram, there's two masculine lines in the very center in the third and fourth positions, and all the other lines are feminine on the top and bottom. This indeed is the basis of an exceptional situation indicated by the hexagram. When strong lines are outside, we have the hexagrams providing nourishment or inner truth. But neither of those hexagrams represent an exceptional state. For when strong elements within are in the majority, they necessarily enforce their will, and this creates a struggle and exceptional conditions in general. Yet, in the present hexagram, the one we're talking about, preponderance of the small, it is the weak element. It is the weak element that inevitably must mediate with the outside world or interact with the outside world. Necessarily, unavoidably, inevitably must interact with the outside world. Now it goes on to say, if a person occupies a position of authority for which they are by their nature really not adequate, extraordinary prudence or caution and reserve is necessary. I'll read that again. If a person occupies a position of authority for which by their nature they're really not adequate, extraordinary caution, reserve, wisdom, common sense, and foresight are necessary. The judgment, majority of the small or preponderance of the small. Success, perseverance furthers. Small things may be done. Great things should not be done. The flying bird brings the message. It is not well to strive upward. It is well to remain below. Great good fortune. Exceptional modesty and conscientiousness. Let's define those. Conscientiousness is being attentive to the details, being very thorough with your details. And modesty is having a moderate or a very balanced appraisal of your abilities. It's not a deficient appraisal of your abilities. You don't think poorly of your abilities, especially when you're good at something. And you don't think too much of your abilities and become arrogant. It's balanced. That's modesty. So exceptional modesty and conscientiousness are sure to be rewarded with success. However, if a person is not to throw themselves away, what does that mean, to throw themselves away? That means to put themselves in a position where they're devaluing themselves. They're essentially throwing themselves away. If a person is not to do this, it's important that this person should not become empty form and subservience, but be combined always with a correct dignity and personal behavior. What does this mean? It's important that a person should not become empty form and subservience. So you don't want to become a person that's completely empty of ideas and just by being subservient, you'd be like a servant in always obeying everyone else and not sharing an idea of your own, not moving your own ideas forward, just kind of in a very passive way. So this is not to be done. You should not do this. You should not become empty and just obeying everything like a servant. But you should have a correct dignity in your personal behavior. What does that mean? Well, a correct dignity in your personal behavior means that you have self-respect for your abilities and your ideas, your words, your thoughts, your actions. You take self-worth seriously. You believe in your worth. You have dignity in terms of understanding that you have value, okay? And that's a very important point in this hexagram. Believing in your value, keeping your self-dignity. So we must understand the demands of the current situation that we find ourselves in order to find the necessary offset for its deficiencies and damages. So it's very important for you to determine and analyze the particular situation to which you find yourself in order to understand the particular behaviors, words, actions, and so forth that are necessary to offset any particular damages, challenges, problems, deficiencies. Okay? In any event, you must not count on great success, since the important or required strength is lacking. So don't count on great success because the strength just isn't there. And this lies the importance of the message that a person should not strive after lofty things, but rather should hold to lowly things. Okay, don't strive for the world, but strive after small things, and you will have success by doing so. The structure of the hexagram gives rise to the idea that this message is brought by a bird. For example, in Preponderance of the Great, the opposite of this hexagram, the 4 strong heavy lines within, supported only by 2 weak lines on the outside, give the image of a sagging ridgepole. But in this hexagram, the supporting weak lines are both outside and in the majority. This gives the image of a soaring bird, but a bird should not try to surpass itself and fly into the sun, such as Icarus. It should descend to the earth where its nest is, and in this way the bird gives the message conveyed by the hexagram. So don't try to fly after things that are well beyond your abilities. Don't strive after lofty things, but hold to lowly things. Come back to the earth where your nest is. The image, thunder on the mountain, the image of preponderance of the small. Thus, in their conduct, the superior person gives emphasis to reverence, and in bereavement and sorrow, they give emphasis to grief, and in their expenditures they give emphasis to thrift. Thunder on the mountain is different from thunder on the plains. In the mountains, thunder seems much nearer. Outside the mountains, thunder is less audible than the thunder of an ordinary storm. Thus, the superior person always derives an imperative from this image. The superior person must always fix their eyes more closely and more directly on their duty than does the ordinary person. And even though this might make their behavior seem petty to the outside world, they must do so. They must be very attentive to their duty, be very conscientious. For the superior person is exceptionally conscientious in their actions, very attentive to the details. In sorrow, emotion means more to the superior person than the ceremony itself. In all of their personal expenditures, the superior person is extremely simple and unpretentious. They don't put on an act. In comparison with the person of the masses, all this makes the superior person stand out as exceptional. Yet the essential significance of the superior person is their attitude, because it lies in the fact that in external matters, the superior person is on the side of the lowly. I'll repeat that once more. The essential significance of the superior person's attitude lies in the fact that in external matters, the superior person is on the side of the lowly. They're not on the side of the highly placed or highly positioned. They're on the side of the people in need, the people that are, let's say, the underdogs. Okay. So, the changing lines, 9 in the fourth place. 9 in the fourth place means no blame. He meets him without passing by. Going brings danger. One must be on guard. Do not act. Be constantly persevering. Hardness of character is tempered by yielding position. Okay, well, you may be going through a situation that inspires a state of hardness of character, perhaps some animosity, some anger, some intensity, but that can be tempered by being yielding so that no mistakes are made. The situation here calls for extreme caution. One must make no attempt of one's own initiative to reach the desired end, and if a person were to go on endeavoring to force their way to a goal, they would be endangered. Therefore, one must be on guard and not act, but continue inwardly to persevere. So this is very specific. It calls for extreme, the situation to which you find yourself in or are soon to find yourself in or have been finding yourself in calls for extreme caution. And you should not make an attempt to reach the desired goal. If you were to go on endeavoring to force your way to the goal, you would be endangered. Therefore, please be on guard, but do not act, and continue to persevere. Okay, the next changing line is the 6th in the 5th place, and that means dense clouds. No rain from our western territory. The prince shoots and hits him who is in the cave. As a high place is pictured here, the image of a flying bird has become that of flying clouds. But dense as the flying clouds are, they race across the sky and provide no rain. Similarly, in exceptional times, there may be a born ruler who is qualified to set the world in order, but who cannot achieve anything or give blessings on the people because this ruler stands alone and has no helpers. In such times, a person must seek out helpers with whose aid they can carry out the task. Yet these helpers must be modestly sought out in the retirement to which they have withdrawn. It is not their fame nor their great names, but their genuine achievements that are important. Through such modesty, the right person is found, and the exceptional task is carried out in spite of all difficulties. So this talks about a born ruler who's qualified to set the world in order. Now, this would probably be you. But it's stating that you can't achieve anything or confer blessing on the people because you're alone and you don't have helpers. So the instruction is given to you seeking out helpers who could aid you in carrying out the particular task or moving through the particular difficulty that you find yourself in. And these helpers need to be sought out modestly, okay, in the retirement to which they have withdrawn. So this could actually be someone who is retired, who is no longer in the social sphere of things very much, who has wisdom, who has perhaps gone through certain situations in their own life similar to yours, who could guide you and provide wisdom for you. This could also be helpers as in your spirit guides, your angels, your creator, who could also be these able helpers to help you through this task. And if you can do this and seek out this person or these beings, then you will exceptionally move through this time in spite of all the difficulties, because this helper or helpers will provide you with the right guidance and the right wisdom to move through things in a more beneficial way. So that is number 62, preponderance of the small. Moving now to number 39, obstruction. 1 second. Obstruction, the abysmal water on top, keeping still mountain on the bottom. So we have water on the mountain, or water in front of the mountain. This hexagram pictures a dangerous abyss lying in front of us and a steep, inaccessible mountain rising behind us. Therefore, we are surrounded by obstacles. At the same time, since the mountain has the attribute of keeping still, there is a hint as to how we can free ourselves, the idea of keeping still. The hexagram represents obstructions that appear in the course of time, but that can and should be overcome. Therefore, all the instruction given in this hexagram is directed to overcoming these obstructions. The judgment, obstruction, the southwest furthers. The northeast does not further. It furthers one to see the great man. It furthers one to see the great person. Perseverance brings good fortune. The southwest is the region of retreat. Now, we could be thinking of the southwest in terms of the southwest portion of the home or the structure. Or if you're in the southern hemisphere, we would be thinking of the northwest. The northeast is the area of advance in the northern hemisphere. And in the southern hemisphere, the southeast is the area of advance. Here, an individual is confronted by obstacles that cannot be overcome directly. In such a situation, it's wise to pause in view of this danger and to retreat. However, retreat is merely preparation for overcoming the obstructions. One must join forces with friends of like mind and put themselves under the leadership of a person equal to the situation. So here again we have reiterated the idea of seeking out guidance, helpers, just as we did in number 62, preponderance of the small. One must join forces with friends of like mind and put themselves under the leadership of a person equal to the situation. Then you will succeed in removing the obstacles. And this requires the will to persevere just when you apparently must do something that leads away from your goal, which is retreat. So retreat actually is preparation to overcome the obstruction. So this unswerving inner purpose brings good fortune in the end. For an obstruction that lasts only for a time is useful for self-development. This is the value of adversity. So this is a very positive way to look at the particular difficulty or obstruction that you have right now in your life, that it's actually developing you. It's helping to strengthen your patience, your inner strength, your wisdom, your caution, your prudence, your reserve, your foresight. And this is the value of the obstruction, of the difficulty. It helps to strengthen you. The image, water on the mountain, the image of obstruction. Thus, a superior person turns their attention to themselves and molds their character. Difficulties and obstructions throw a person back upon themselves, while the inferior person seeks to put blame on other persons and cries about their fate. The superior person seeks the error within themselves, takes responsibility, looks within themselves. Have I done something that's helped to contribute to this situation as it is now? And through this introspection, the external obstacle becomes for the superior person an occasion for inner enrichment and education. So again, this is just fully more developed in this this particular description of the value of adversity being for your self-development. You're taking responsibility to say, hey, maybe I need to address this. Maybe I need to have a serious conversation with someone. Maybe I have paused or been deficient in addressing this sooner, and I need to marshal or gather my wisdom and intelligence and ideas, seek out helpers, and through retreat, through taking time to let this wisdom and the right course of action and the right moment to actually come to you, then you're able to move through this obstruction in a much better way. we can also think of the water on the mountain. The water on the mountain flows downward from heaven. The clouds release the water to the mountain, and little rivulets and little streams develop, and it flows downward, but it meets obstructions here and there. But eventually it gets down the mountain, and it's successful, and you too will be successful. And the way in which you can do so is to not push forward with force. Don't try to overcome things directly. Don't confront them head on, because this will be dangerous. You want to retreat, gain information, ask counsel from helpers, and then when you have the right moment, you feel like you're in the right situation, the right time has arrived. Timing is very important. And when the wisdom is there, the foresight, the intelligence, then you can have that conversation with someone. Then you can send that email. Then you can make that decision, and you will move through this obstacle, this obstruction. But right now, it's important to gather your forces and keep still, seek out guidance, and this will be overcome in time, and the right time will come, and you'll know when the right time has come to overcome this. And it'll just happen. It'll just unfold, just like the water flowing down the mountain. It'll find its path. I would like to just describe, in terms of feng shui and the compass directions, the southwest is a region of retreat, and it's advised to tap into the southwest, and the northeast is to be avoided. So you're not supposed to push ahead right now. Now, this is northern hemisphere stuff. So look, if you have a home or a structure in the northern hemisphere, look in the southwest area of that home. See what's going on and see if you can clarify that space, simplify it, organize it. If there's something there that you can do to improve, this could help you with that particular obstruction. You'll gain clarity, and you'll gain a new flow of energy in that area. If you're in the southern hemisphere and you have a house or a structure in the southern hemisphere, then you're going to be looking toward the northwest. The northwest is the area of retreat in the southern hemisphere structure. Look to the northwest. See what's going on in that particular area of your house or the structure. If there's something that you can do there to clarify that space, simplify it, organize it, that too will enhance the energy flow and could help you very much with overcoming this obstruction. Just some interesting ideas to assist with this process. So that's what I have for you right now. I hope it helps you. I would listen to this again and again and try to incorporate these ideas as much as possible into your life experience right now. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.